What if you woke up in a world where a literal dark goddess wanted to turn you and everyone you care about into solid stone? There's absolutely no way you're going back to sleep after that, right? Well, welcome to this explainer of the epic fantasy, The Last Howl. This isn't just your standard run-of-the-mill story of swords and magic. No, it is a brutal, high-stakes struggle for human agency. Today, we're going to unpack the terrifying lore and the ultimate showdown that really tests whether our destiny is just written in the stars or if it's forged by our own hands.
Right off the bat, we are thrown headfirst into this brutal ideological clash. Early on, a wise woman tries to claim, "The world is ruled by love." But our battle-hardened main character, the Wolfhound, he fires back with a much harsher reality. He says, "No, strength decides all." I mean, that perfectly sets the stage, doesn't it? We're entering a universe that is totally stripped of warmth and mercy. It basically begs the question, can compassion actually triumph here, or is this just a zero-sum game where only the strong survive?
So that clash leads us directly into the central thematic question for this entire explainer. Can a mere mortal actually alter a dark destiny? Throughout the story, these characters are constantly being told what their fate is. They're boxed in by ancient prophecies and the whims of some seriously cruel gods. So keep this question right in the back of your mind as we look at the evidence today. Let's see if free will actually stands a chance against predetermined doom.
All right, let's get into Section 1, A Cursed Kingdom and the Unnatural Winter of Galarod.
Okay, so Galarod is suffering under this freezing, mournful curse, and it's basically a physical manifestation of divine punishment brought on by Marana the Deadly. She is the mythological root of this whole conflict. I mean, we're talking about a cruel, terrifying goddess whose literal touch turns everything to stone. Her ultimate goal? To make slaves of all men, using her dark druids as these vicious masters over humanity. She is a total existential threat, and she's poised to consume this entire world if she's allowed to fully wake up from her ancient slumber.
So you're probably wondering, how did things get this bad? Well, centuries ago, a great hero, who was actually an ancestor of Princess Elen, managed to defeat Marana. They imprisoned her heart safely inside the celestial gates. But years ago, this warlord, known as the Maneater, went and stole the celestial key. And without that key, the city's divine protection just completely shattered. That led directly to the unnatural winter that's cursing Galarod today. The city is essentially bleeding out, just waiting for someone to step up and restore the balance.
Moving right along to Section 2, The Last Wolfhound, From Slave to Savior.
To fight a curse like this, we've got to shift our focus from ancient gods to a mortal man who is just fighting for his own agency. The Wolfhound is the sole survivor of the Grey Dog clan. After his entire people were wiped out, he was sent to rot as a slave in the brutal mines of the Crystal Mountains. And get this, no one had ever escaped those mines before. But he did. He fought the absolute fiercest slave masters, won his freedom, and got out. His very survival is this massive defiance of the fate intended for him. He was supposed to die in the dark, yet here he is, armed to the teeth and seeking justice.
Which brings us to Section 3, Marana's servants and the ideological clash.
Because escaping the mines, that was honestly just the beginning. The forces of evil trying to enforce Marana's dark prophecy aren't even entirely united. On one hand, you had the Maneater. He sought the celestial key just to control Marana's power for his own mortal greed. Now, the Wolfhound actually managed to slay him, but, well, that victory revealed a much, much worse threat, Jadoba. Unlike the Maneater, Jadoba is a full-blown religious fanatic. He wants to sacrifice Princess Elen, because her royal blood is required, just to fully awaken the goddess. This ideological shift makes him infinitely more dangerous. You simply cannot reason with him.
I mean, just look at Jadoba's dark threat. He is a high druid of Marana who has entirely surrendered his human form. He wears this permanent mask to show his eternal servitude to the goddess. And, most chillingly, he commands the lost souls of the haunted marsh. This isn't just some political rival. This is a walking, breathing nightmare draped in religious extremism, and he is actively hunting Princess Elen and the Wolfhound.
Let's dive into Section 4, Journey to Castle Mountain, The Perilous Path. To lift the curse, Princess Elen hires the Wolfhound to help her return the key to the celestial gates. And together, they face this terrifying three-step gauntlet. Step 1. Escape the frozen, cursed city of Galarod itself. Step 2. Survive the old road that leads directly through the haunted Chiron Marsh. And Step 3. Reach Castle Mountain in time to stop the dark blood sacrifice that would trigger Marana's return.
Literally every single step is fraught with peril.
Let's zoom in on step 2 for a second, because the Chiron Marsh is just a masterclass in atmospheric tension. This treacherous marsh is actually the homeland of Jadoba himself. When the caravan makes camp, they are totally enveloped in this thick fog. It's filled with dreadful noises and these shadows that look like men, but definitely aren't. They get ambushed by these lost souls, and the heroes discover that these terrifying specters fear only one thing: fire. They barely manage to chase the ancient evils off, but the cost? It's incredibly high. Jadoba ultimately manages to steal the key and captures the princess.
And that leads us to Section 5, Forging a New Destiny, the thematic climax.
This brings us to the bloody threshold of the celestial gates. This is where the lore, the physical journey, and the overarching struggle against fate all just collide. Jadoba has dragged Princess Elen to Castle Mountain. Remember, to free Marana, the prophecy dictates that royal blood must be spilt on the key. Jadoba is literally seconds away from executing the princess and dooming the whole world. But then, the Wolfhound arrives. And he doesn't just rely on his sword, he summons the thunder god of his fallen clan. Through this incredible combination of sheer mortal might and divine intervention, he shatters Jadoba's forces. He halts Marana's resurrection completely and breaks the dark prophecy.
This brilliant climax illustrates the true core of the story perfectly. It's captured in the lyrics of a slave song from earlier. Every man can change his destiny. No one had ever escaped the mines before, but he got out. You know, earlier in the story, characters argued that no one could change their fate, but the Wolfhound proved them definitively wrong. By surviving those mines, defeating the Maneater, and shattering Jadoba's prophecy at the gates, he proved that free will can absolutely conquer predetermined fate. He forged his own path through sheer willpower alone.
Which leaves us with this final, kind of provocative thought. If a man born into slavery, hunted by dark druids, and opposed by an ancient goddess of stone can break a prophecy and forge his own path, what about you? If destiny has no power over the Wolfhound, who is writing yours? I really hope this explainer helped illuminate the incredible themes and lore of The Last Howl. It's such a powerful reminder that sometimes the absolute most heroic thing you can do is refuse to accept the fate others have written for you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I encourage you to keep questioning the narrative.